Remember those comfort corners at universities that were set up to help students cope with Trump's win the first time around? The passing out of hot cocoa and blankets over the screams of feminists and unemployed campus radicals. Well, despite a sound rejection of wokeism and the babying of our society by the mother state liberal elite at the ballot box, our high-browed universities are at it again. At Virginia Tech, several professors in the wake of President Trump's election canceled class to personally recover and allow the students to take several, quote, mental health days. Yes, our tax-paying dollars give these self-important professors a fat salary and they can't bother to show up for work. Maybe that's a good thing. More offensively, they can't bother to show the next generation of leaders that this is an acceptable way to cope. At Georgetown, and even Harvard, yes, I hate to say it, my alma mater, they're offering snacks like milk and cookies and a Lego station. Our forefathers stormed the beaches of Normandy, but today's college kids can't even brave their own campus quads. Yes, it wasn't just Kamala that lost this election, but wokeism itself, and that's the amazing news. Clearly, it is trying to remain alive within these little petri dishes for poltroons that we call universities, but how can we turn our mandate into a vehicle to save those kids from the conniving coddle culture? Is it possible? Joining us now, Rob Bluey, president and executive editor of Daily Signal. Rob, what say you?
Chanel, you got it exactly right talking about those petri dishes. These universities are elite bubbles that exist all over the country, and frankly, they are completely out of touch with the rest of America. And I think that this election has proven that the American people will speak up and stand up for what's right and the common sense values that we believe in as American citizens. Too often, these professors are in a position where they're influencing young minds, they're shaping the next generation, and I think that the American people have frankly had enough of it. And so this is why you're going to see some big changes. I think that Donald Trump, he's already made some big promises when it comes to eliminating the Department of Education. One of the best things that he could do is start to impose some reforms on these institutions that receive federal tax dollars. This cannot go on.
No, it can't. But while it is happening, you guys at the Daily Signal, I read, you reached out to Virginia Tech asking on behalf of the students there if the students would receive a refund since the professors did not show up. Did they respond to you guys?
No, not surprisingly. Virginia Tech, like so many other college campuses, is completely invested in this woke elitist perspective. In fact, the Heritage Foundation, which rates college campuses, gave Virginia Tech one of the lowest ratings in the Commonwealth of Virginia, I think exactly because of reasons like this. And so, no, I don't expect colleges to change on their own. I think that it will require some pressure from outside forces to do so. I mean, you could take it from any number of directions. I mean, Virginia Tech just being one example of a school that is funded, it's a state school, so I mean, it's funded by the Commonwealth of Virginia, but also receives federal tax dollars.
Right.
So, I mean, everything from looking at accreditation and tenure to, how they charge tuition and the fact that these students are left with mountains of debt when they graduate and are facing, significant student loan hurdles for the rest of their lives. I mean, this is not sustainable. And I think you need a reforming president like Donald Trump to come in there, appoint somebody to the Department of Education who's seriously going to make some changes to how these campuses operate. In the short term, yes, I do suspect that places like Virginia Tech and Harvard and Georgetown will go through their periods of depression and mourning, and they'll cancel classes and they'll give students cookies. But at the end of the day, that's a short-term thing. They will eventually regroup, and they'll be radicalizing students in the future, in the years to come.
Well, that said, though these are our future generations, and they're here at these elite colleges and across the country, the numbers, though, are leaning not the left, but they're leaning more towards the right this last round, especially. In 2016, it was pretty firm. The youth vote was leaning left, going for, the Democrats. But now, Trump has made enormous gains across the board, but in particular, Gen Z voters. 56% of men, by one estimate, between the ages of 18 and 29, and 40% of women of that same age. That stuns me.
And for good reason that I think they are supporting him. I mean, they're sick and tired of what they are seeing from the Democrats and the left. And so it's no particular surprise to me when the Democrats have gone all in on issues that are deeply unpopular, particularly, letting biological men play in girls' sports. I mean, I can't imagine if you were a young female athlete, why you would support somebody who is in favor of a policy like that, Chanel. So I think that you look at issues across the board, whether it's the bread and butter issues or some of the cultural issues, there's no question in my mind that Donald Trump was able to connect with these individuals, particularly making significant gains with younger Americans, like you talked about, the 18 to 29-year-olds. Donald Trump also spoke directly to them. He went to the media platforms where they consume information. They are not getting their news from traditional sources, and that is a good thing.
So the role of TikTok, what do you think that played in this election?
Well, I think TikTok obviously played a big role. Donald Trump was active on the platform. Myself and those of us at the Daily Signal purposely do not engage in TikTok because of its ownership and the role that the Chinese Communist Party plays in that organization. But I will say that there is a massive number of young people, including conservatives and those who are independent, who get their news from TikTok. And so I think that the Trump campaign tried to strike that balance. Clearly, maybe there was some frustration and anger with Joe Biden for signing into law the TikTok ban. I don't know if people revolted against that, but there were probably any number of factors. I think it's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's YouTube, wherever information is being portrayed, and frankly, more and more people are consuming it via video and memes and other forms than your traditional newspapers. Yeah. And that's why newspapers became increasingly irrelevant this cycle.
I'm applauding the rise of, I guess when I went to school, we called it visual rhetoric. But visual rhetoric is a powerful thing. It comes in the form of these very simple but impactful memes. And that's not a small thing. It does affect the culture, and it affects the culture in a powerful way, which is through humor. And
it does.
I think there's a consensus that conservatives tend to be better at meme making than liberals, which should worry the left.
Well, it should, because for far too long, the left has kind of controlled comedy and that field. But I think when you have a powerful figure like Donald Trump, who himself knows when to be funny and to engage in these memes himself, it really does a lot to push back on the left. And so no matter how many comedians you have and Saturday Night Live dominating, obviously, as in the way that it has, it's just not funny anymore. And so that's why I think, the skits that you see on so many of these programs just fall flat, and why you have a whole new generation of individuals who are turning to platforms where they get news and information and find their entertainment. And Donald Trump has just done a masterful job of playing right into that.